Let me tell you a story. On August 1st, 2022, I crossed the US-Mexico border with no visa, no vaccine, no family, no money, no plan, so I can apply for asylum and learn from the masters of social skills, escape war, finally have a place I can call home. This is citizen journalism shot on my smartphone, raw, never before seen footage. It wasn't sponsored, nor do I have a production crew. Just a refugee with a dream, intuition, and massive goat balls. Sharing this, I could potentially jeopardize my asylum process, but after seeing the border crisis, I thought maybe this could help someone. Every immigrant has a reason why they migrate. Each case is different. This is one of those stories. My story.
You have any message for the world?
Don't jump.
But first, a little context. So what made me leave the comfort of my huge home, the life I had built, and throw myself across the globe? Well, this is the short version of the answer. I'm originally from Yemen, but I've traveled my entire life. Since 2014, Yemen has been in civil war with the militant rebel group called the Houthis. Let's just say the Houthis don't like me. So I lived in Malaysia as a student, waiting the war out, but the war never ended. I was doing a master's in media and communication with an emphasis on social media and the 2020 pandemic. I also honed my skills in digital advertising and architectural design. Basically, visual and verbal communication was my life. So I had my reservations about what was going on in 2020. At the time, we didn't know we were going to get our lives back or not. This gave me major FOMO for living. That's where Owen Cook comes in. The main reason I did this was because they're closing shop in just a few months. So regardless of the circumstances, I just couldn't live with the idea of never being able to say that I went to one of his boot camps. So I was willing to just put everything on the table and just go, because the fear of missing out on this was so strong that money meant nothing to me. And I still don't know how we're gonna get to Miami. Okay, we're in lockdown right now, but that's the challenge for the next few months. I've been following Tyler for 8 years, and I've been wanting to work with him for the longest time. It's been my dream on my bucket list to work with this guy. And after this weekend, I finally registered, and we're gonna go to Miami next year. I'm gonna crush it, and it's gonna be lit, super surreal, because I haven't had the money for this for the longest time ever. Could never afford it, and then suddenly, now I can. Okay, I spent half my net worth to go for this trip. But what else is money for? Okay, hopefully we're gonna triple it, triple it, quadruple it. It's only $4,000. Oh, what else? These are the best in the planet. This guy's one of the best teachers on the planet for this particular niche, and they're closing shop. You're never gonna find stuff like this again. So learning this stuff, it's like I'm preserving their legacy as well. And by mastering this stuff, I can pass it on so that this body of knowledge continues and grows, because it's hella important. It's crucial. But there was one problem. Borders were closed for non-US residents and non-essential travel, and I didn't have proof of the C-19 medicine. So I did what any rational person would do. So I applied to universities in Miami to become a student. This cost me hundreds of dollars, but it worked. I got my uni approval. All I needed was a visa. Mind you, I was ready to spend over $20,000 to stay 10 months in America, but they rejected my visa application because of the ongoing situation in Yemen. But I've already paid for my workshop with Owen. How's I going to get to the US? It was the last layer of raw skill set that I needed in my sub-communication to complete my arsenal. There was no way I was giving up, which led me to the question that became the North Star of my journey. I asked myself, what else? Owen's team had workshops in every major continent, all of which required proof of vaccination and tough visa applications, except for one place, Mexico. So I applied for a visa. To my surprise, because I was a student, they granted me one. So my dream of attending the workshop was finally becoming a reality. It would be with another instructor, but that was cool because I wanted to learn from all of them. Mind you, getting a visa anywhere as a Yemeni during that time was impossible. I had been stuck in Malaysia for years as a displaced citizen, so I was super stoked to have a chance to travel again. But how did I end up as a refugee in the US? Little did I know that the following events were going to be a major catalyst to what led me to cross the border. So I booked my trip to Mexico. I knew there was a risk I could get stuck in Mexico, so I made plans accordingly. My situation is bad, but I didn't know how bad until I started traveling. Every transit country I got questioned for hours, pulled out of line, delayed my boarding every single time. And I was never given a real reason. I had done my research. I knew I wasn't breaking the law. It was clear I was being racially profiled. This had nothing to do with me personally. It was my passport, a piece of paper that had reduced the access and options I had to the world. A stark wake-up call. But eventually I reached Mexico. After 8 months of isolation and lockdown, these 2 weeks in Cancun were therapy. And the workshops, of course, gave me everything that I ever had imagined.
It was all a dream.
I reached new heights in my social skills and saw a clear path towards social mastery. I didn't know where I was going after my workshop. I was almost out of cash and dreading my return to Malaysia. You see, once I graduate, I would be deported from Malaysia, and I had 6 months left till graduation. Returning to Yemen spelled certain death for me. On the last day of the workshop, I found out the US had removed the requirement for vaccine passes to enter the border. This lit a light bulb in my head. I have no visa, but perhaps there was a different way. What if I used my new social skills to convince the border officer to let me in for asylum? You see, I never chose asylum, I was forced into it. Asylum is complicated with lots of legal barriers and risk. There is limited information in how it works, and it is expensive to find credible legal advice. You're basically going to another nation, handing over your rights and putting yourself in their hands. This doesn't always work out and can actually speed up your deportation. Malaysia doesn't recognize refugees and had no path to residency that didn't cost a small fortune. I began to realize that asylum was probably my only way out. Yet I was in a foreign land with a foreign language and running out of money. Despite Mexico's beauty, it was run by corruption and organized crime. I knew I had to leave. After a lot of brainstorming, I made a decision. I was already in Mexico. I might as well give the US border a try. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it right, meaning jumping the border was not an option. There was no point being illegal, as that will not give me a path to residency. I didn't know how asylum would work, so I thought I'd just go to the border and see what happens. I had 350 left to my name and had to find the safest border city. When you read things online, you get a very narrow picture of reality. Everything I found was how scary border cities are, all the news about cartel activity, kidnapping, refugees. I was scared for my life. I didn't want to get kidnapped, but my intuition told me to go. Especially since the border was open to non-residents and without COVID requirements. I looked at Google Maps and discovered that Tijuana was the only city with an airport right on the border with USA. This felt like the safest option, because I thought I could test out my plan without leaving the airport. So I booked a flight the same week, and off to Tijuana I went. I had a 10-hour layover in Mexico City and explored a little. By the time I reached Tijuana, it was past midnight. And to my surprise, the bridge that connects the borders was, well, not where you apply for asylum. I was informed I'd have to go to a port of entry, which meant I had to leave the airport. I was so close to my goal, yet so far. Turns out the nearest port was a 5-minute taxi ride away. I bit the stick and made the leap. A taxi driver outside the airport asked me where I wanted to go. I told him the port of entry nearby. He said, sure, that'll be 100. I agreed, and he got his friend to drive me. We arrived at the port. I pass him 100 pesos. He throws it back and gets angry. He says, $100. I argue with him, no way, that's a scam. It was a 5-minute ride. He starts shouting and calls his friend on the phone, who also starts shouting. All the news I read about cartel taking advantage of refugees came back to me. These guys knew I was a refugee. In hindsight, I think they were just scammers, but in the moment, fear blocked my judgment. I didn't want any trouble. It was 1 a.m. in a city I don't know and all my luggage with me. I managed to negotiate and pay about $80. After all, I could see the port of entry and the CBP officer. I just wanted to get this over with. I get out of the taxi and go to the officer. I tell him I need asylum. All the social skills I learned fly out the window. I was so nerve-wracked and tired and scared, I basically just mumbled. The guy's first response was, "Not here. You gotta go to the other port of entry," and tells me to leave. I am now stranded in Tijuana at 1 a.m. with all my luggage. What else? I ask. Luckily, it turns out there's Uber here, so I decide to go back to the airport. And it only cost me 120 pesos. Go figure. Discouraged and tired, I fall asleep at the airport. I wake up 2 hours later and realize it's the weekend. No flights back to Cancun till Monday. I have $250 left. Now I'm frustrated and feel I have nothing to lose. I decide to book another Uber to the second port of entry, 15 minutes away. The guy that picks me up, Fausto was his name. I will never forget this guy. He drove a lot of Russians and Ukrainians to the border and could recognize what I was trying to do. But after what happened with the taxi driver, I don't trust this guy and hide my plans. He prods me and tells me not to go to the border. He says it's useless.
Oh, there, I see it.
There's too many people there. They will not let you in, he says. He says, go to the NGO, they will help. I can take you there. He shows me the border. I see a long stretched line of people. His info, checked out. I take his offer to go to the NGO. He drops me off and leaves, never to be seen again. The NGO tells me I am in the wrong place and I should go to a shelter. They give me an address. I go to the shelter. The shelter tells me that this is only for families, not single people like me. They give me an address. At this point, it's 9 a.m. I've been awake for 36 hours, walking around Tijuana with all my bags.
I don't know what I'm doing here, man. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just rolling the dice. Get crazy degenerate. It's like San Andreas, the video game.
I reach the third center. They say they are not a shelter and they know nothing about US asylum, just Mexico asylum. But they say they know a shelter I can stay till I figure my stuff out. They give me food and book a bed for me in this shelter. And it was at this point that I broke down. It all became so real. 2 weeks ago I was in a comfortable environment, perfect home, went on a Cancun holiday, and now I was a refugee on the way to a shelter. The reality of my situation struck hard. I reached the shelter and decided to get some rest and that I would give up on my mission and fly back on Monday. This place was a mosque as well as shelter for Muslims. They offered free food and accommodation. That following weekend, they asked me if I wanted to be added to the list. What list? I asked. You want to go to America, right? We help people cross legally. Isn't that why you're here? Yes, but I had no idea. It was weird. The NGO that sent me here had no idea either. Turns out it was the only shelter in Tijuana that does this. How did you find out about us then? By accident, I said. What a godsend. There was a catch. There's no deadline on the process. Could be days, weeks, months. One family was here for 6 months. And once I started the process, I'd have to stay here indefinitely. I was blown away how I found this place. I came to TJ without a real plan or any knowledge. Then after getting scammed by a taxi driver, I am saved by an Uber driver. And after hopping between multiple NGOs, I stumble on the only one that takes me to my goal by pure chance. And this shelter is a few meters away from the San Diego border, like right outside the street. I take a few days to think about it.
It's the border. That fence right there, the brown fence. That's how close I am to the border. Pretty weird. It's just a fence dividing nations. So today is day 4 that I'm in this shelter, sharing a space. A lot of people. You get three free meals a day. There's an unstable Wi-Fi connection, and there's bathrooms and showers. I'll show you. Come back. There's bathrooms. Yeah, trying to figure shit out. How long I'll stay here? Will I apply for asylum? If I do, I have to stay in the shelter for many months. At least I should expect 6 months. Really hard choice to make. I look so shaggy right now. All these white hairs, I'm getting older, man. I'm trying to figure out if I should do this or if any of these processes are worth it. I really don't know anymore. Part of me really just wants to go back home, my big house, and my cats and my friends. But I'm not even sure if that's a real solution because I'm kind of chasing that comfort, familiarity, what I know and what I'm used to. Or I can continue this weird movie like surrealness. It's kind of surreal to the point that it's not even that much of a big deal. It feels like, oh wow, I'm actually here. I'm actually doing this thing. So which one is more valuable? Plus, I mean, like I said, look at these white hairs. Like, I go back to Malaysia and I'm a student and am I balding? No way. Anyways, I don't even know if Malaysia is a real solution. It's gonna cost a lot of money. At least $1 million, a bunch of other procedures. Everything feels like a dead end. There's always Germany. You could try applying for a visa in Germany. I feel like out of all the countries, it would be the easiest. Oh, not getting any younger. TikTok. So I'm gonna start trying to be a better journalist and document better because I missed out on some of the best moments, the most dangerous moments of this journey. And I didn't record it, which hurts. So we're gonna make it more of a habit. Right now, I'm still in Tijuana. I've spent 3 days at a shelter. People are nice here. Like this guy just let me cross the street, and at the same time, a truck full of armed military people just passed through. Another armed military guy in front of me. But it's not what I want to show you. See that? That looks like the Great Wall of China. That's the border of San Diego, Tijuana.
After some good rest, it was time to make a decision that will impact the rest of my life. But how was I supposed to pick a country? Funny thing is, I thought I had options, but I actually didn't. You have to be inside of a country in order to apply for asylum. The problem was getting inside. Eventually, I decided I'd follow my intuition again. After all, I had made it this far just by doing that, and it seemed that God was helping me out. But I barely had any money. What would happen once I got to the US? I don't know anyone there. Where will I live? How will I earn? My North Star fell back to social dynamics. I wanted to become the best. This felt like a personal championship, and I felt congruent enough to chase that. Yes, that would be my next adventure. I will go to the US, attend all of Owen's free events around the country. I will make friends at these events and find ways to provide value in exchange for accommodation. I knew I could do it. So I put my name on the list and waited.
Today is 30th of June. I have been in Tijuana for 1 week. 1 week since I landed. As of 3 days ago, I decided that I'm gonna stay at the shelter, apply for the asylum. I've already put my name in the list. So there's a list and it's a program with priority going to families and pregnant women, all that stuff. So I'm basically the lowest priority. I always keep seeing new people. A lot of people keep leaving because they're impatient. Some of them jump the border, like my bunkmate and him and his family jumped the border yesterday. They didn't want to wait 3 or 6 months. He was like, yeah, I'm out of here. And they went and they jumped the border. Hope he's okay. But long story short, I'm now waiting to get feedback. So I haven't even started my application. I just submitted my name. Yeah, they're gonna go through the list and then for them to tell me, okay, you've been accepted into the program. Might be 3 weeks. Who knows? We're committing for July. My goal is to save money at the very least. Explore this city. The way I see it, it's almost like free exploration. It's not the best city. Focus on my work since I don't got no rent to pay, no distractions apart from just my work and my studies. And just try and make the best of it. Worst come to worst, you know, a month goes by. Yeah, I saved money and I got to experience a shitty city. We'll see. We'll see what happens after 3 weeks.
I thought I was applying for asylum, but it actually was humanitarian parole. I did not know this. The challenge is these situations are so overwhelming, you feel your brain lose dopamine. It becomes hard to move. You have no motivation and your mind begins to shut down. The feeling of uncertainty putting you at a constant state of limbo. You don't see a lane, and hence helplessness kicks in. As grateful as I am for these organizations that saved my life, I didn't know the repercussions of free handouts. Basically, the survival instincts and faculties that allowed you to make these risky migrations are taken away from you. As you arrive to a place that tells you to sit down, be docile. You are given food, shelter, and just told to wait. This is very hard. My brain was churning into putty within the first week, just counting hours till the next meal, the only reward to look forward to. Even though the best tacos in the world were a 20-minute walk away. There was no furniture but your bunk beds, so I laid down all the time. Always sleeping and lethargic, I didn't want to do anything. Constant escapism on the phone, sharing a space with 50 other people, it takes a toll. You are allowed to go outside as long as you come back before dark. Everyone dealt with this. A lot of these people went on rigorous journeys. Some even walked all the way across Brazil and through the Panama bushes. They've seen a lot of violence and death, and adjusting to this new reality was tricky. It wasn't a detention center, you could leave anytime you wanted, but if you wanted to cross legally, you had to follow the system. Some of the people that jumped illegally died. It was no joke. This was in 2022, so I can't speak about what's happening now. The only solution I had for dopamine loss was proactive discomfort. I took cold showers, sat uncomfortably on the floor, avoided lying down, skipped breakfast, minimized screen time, and lived as if I would stay there forever, which means I went online to look for digital marketing clients.
Day 22. There's a strange purity with building something you care about in a strange situation and very uncomfortable situation here in the bed. Working on my dreams, and there's a strange purity to it. I don't know what it is, but quite motivating. Do your karate. Go. Oi, yeah. Oppa. Okay. Finish. Good job.
I explored Tijuana and whatever it had to offer. I would go to the mosque and read Quranic stories about mystical religious experiences. During times like this, little mysticism gives hope. Even watch someone convert for the first time. I found ways to offer value, made friends with management, which gave me a little extra privileges.
It's Angela. It's Ahmed. She's always asking how people are doing. Uplifting spirits, and this guy is the muscles doing all the moving and stuff.
When in doubt, offer value. I watched as families got paroled. It was nice to know the system worked. This gave me more hope.
So today's day 8. Just saw a family get sent off. They're going to the border, crossing the border illegally. One of those Russian families, they came like 5 days ago. So they literally just stayed at the shelter for 5 days or 6 days, and they're gonna go to the US. So pretty heartwarming to know, and gives me some confidence in my own situation that yeah, it works.
Time passed slow, however. There came a point in time where I thought I would be stuck in Tijuana forever. Sometimes I'd go to visit the border just for fun and get physically close to my goals.
I decided I'm gonna walk to the border just to get a vibe check. I'm not gonna cross. Just wanna make stuff real. Almost there. So I made it. It was the big line. So big. It's huge. Just trying to see what's on the other side. This is what it looks like. It's just the border getting passed through.
Until the day came. One of the families that has been there for 6 months was finally leaving.
This is the asylum vlog. We have Mr. Elias over here. Do you have any message for the world?
Don't jump. Yeah, really, everything that they paper or necklace.
There you go. You got it. This guy, inspiration, longest ever. If he can wait 6 months, you can wait 6 months. So,
Yeah, it will be good for you.
yeah, he did it. You guys were the longest, right?
Yeah, long.
World record for this shelter. So, yeah, use this story as inspiration. Also, oh, they're gone. For my reminder to be patient.
Because I had a diplomatic passport, the supervisor made a last-minute decision to take me with them to try and see if I can skip the list process and just apply straight at the border.
If I get rejected, they just say no for whatever reason. I come back and I do it. I was already gonna do it. If I do get accepted, then wow, crazy. It's the fastest I've ever packed. I packed all my stuff in under 5 minutes, literally like speed packing. I got all my essentials, so all good. Let's go.
After 1 hour, I was rejected due to Title 42 pandemic rules. So back to the list waiting it went. A week later, my name was approved and I'd be crossing the border the next morning. It was July 31st. We all got tested for the big flu in preparation for crossing the next day. It was my last day in Tijuana. I went to see the Pacific Ocean and the border that I would soon be crossing the next day.
All right, today is day 52 in Mexico and day 38 in Tijuana. And today is special because I'm at Playas de Tijuana. That right there is the border with the United States. And it's crazy that I'm here because today might be my last day here because they told me that I might be crossing the border tomorrow. Now I've tried 2 times. This would be my 3rd attempt. Legally doing it, okay? I'm not jumping over. This is pretty high though, and the barbed wire is really high. I can actually get closer to show you. It's pretty high. Yeah. You can actually swim over. If you look at it, it ends right there. But considering it might be my last day, I thought I'd just come by, see this place. I've always wanted to come, seen it in the YouTube videos, and tell you, when you come here, the energy is different, the water looks cleaner, and no photos or videos would do you justice, man. Go and see stuff for yourself. And it's crazy that I'm actually traveling the world without any money. I've always said, when I make enough money, I'm gonna go travel the world. I don't have any of that money. Matter of fact, I've been traveling across the world for under less than $3,000. Definitely not comfortable. A lot of risk, a lot of gambles. And this isn't because I got an opportunity to travel. I had the least of odds of anyone to be able to travel. People don't travel $3,000, but I did. Somehow I managed to figure it out. I didn't have all the answers. I just went and kept rolling the dice. Things unraveled. If everything works out, I'm telling you, man, there's some secrets to this universe we don't understand. This was not purely my doing. I just took action. A lot of it was, just the God interventions that I don't even understand, but throughout this entire journey it's been like obstacles and then that I have no control over, and then they get obliterated. It happens so many times that I'm like, this is not coincidence, this is not luck, I'm smarter than that. I know I'm not that naive. It's definitely some divine intervention. Why me? I don't know. Why is God helping me? I don't know. But it seems like I got God on my side and things are just working splendid. Can't complain. Things are great. This is to kind of just really sum up this whole Tijuana experience. I'm just happy I got to see this with my own eyes and not some video screen on YouTube. He said, she said, no, I said. 'Cause I saw it. I'd encourage you to do the same thing. So make it real.
The day finally came. We left as early as 9 a.m. and this time I was the first in line. This would have been my 3rd attempt. I managed expectations. I actually wasn't sure I'd make it.
So first time I was last. This time, first guy on the list. Weird.
We got up to this point where Mexican immigration receives us. I was told no phones allowed and have 0 documentation of the actual crossing.
Oh.
We walk along this very long bridge that's closed off to pedestrians. At the end of the bridge was a large, heavily gated entrance. We are received by what seems like American officers and taken into a building. It was US Border Customs and we had to be detained for 10 hours until everyone in our group had finished their background checks. Of course, my process was the longest. I was interrogated for close to 2 hours. It was because of my diplomatic passport. They said they've never seen someone come through this route with my passport before. I tell them my life story. They go through my phones and cross-check info. Then we waited and got biometrics taken. By 9 p.m. they give everyone their papers. I thought there was an acceptance or rejection process. After they give us our court dates, we are put into a large bus. The bus guide says, "Welcome to San Diego." I made it, no way, I was here. I couldn't process what had just happened. That's it, no more uncertainty, for now. We get drove to a quarantine hotel, which I can't reveal the location. I stayed at this hotel for 6 days. It was full of bed bugs and we had to eat microwave food. I was grateful to even be here, but I also couldn't wait to get out. My first 6 days in the US was spent locked in a hotel room. You are not allowed outside your room at all. Once I leave the hotel, I am on my own. I had $350 at this time. I had closed a couple clients online for commission-based performance, but that only happened on my last day, so I had no money to show for it. I spend those 6 days using the 6 degrees of separation. Find a solution by calling friends on my contact list. If they know people in the US, I can do a value exchange with. It pays off, and I get 3 offers: New York, San Francisco, Fresno. I was still serious about attending Owen's free tours, and it turns out Owen was throwing his next event in San Francisco a week from now. I take the San Francisco offer without any hesitation. It was also the best offer out of all the 3. Another sign: free accommodation and temporary sponsorship. It was crazy how everything was so aligned. It seemed that social dynamics was the one true North Star directing this entire journey, which was kind of trippy. I used the rest of my money and booked a train to San Francisco. After 6 days of quarantine, I am finally out into the wild.
So I literally just got out of quarantine. Today's day something. It was the 6th of August, and I'm in San Diego. Step foot quarantine. And now I'm gonna go get a goddamn burger. But we made it, boys. Yeah, made it.
The first thing I see is an In-N-Out burger. I had heard stories about this place.
Burger, and these are the first few hours I've been free. So how amazing! I made it. Actually made it. Now I'm like walking for the first time on my own. It feels crazy. Let me tell you, feels weird, feels surreal, feels crazy that we're here, that I made it, that I walked through here by foot. That's right, got here by foot. Some people get by boat, some people fly here. Freaking walked here, bro.
Words couldn't describe how I still feel looking back at all this. I can't believe this worked in the way it did. My story was so crazy that some people still think I'm lying. What's fascinating is the mindset you access by following your intuition that leads you to trippy coincidences.
Taking a train to San Francisco. I'm excited. It's 11 hours. And I get to see the country.
You see, there are legal ways to enter the US, but they require patience and it may not work for everyone. But where there's a will, there's a way. And let's not discount the fact of how fortunate I was. There are countless stories of refugees who escape violence and die on their migration journeys. Life isn't fair, so never take it for granted.
All right, I just made it to San Francisco. It was a 13-hour trip. Took a train, took a bus. Left at 6 a.m. in the morning from San Diego. Got here at 9 p.m. Okay. Thanks to the help of some very friendly people, I have a free place to stay. Here's my room, my stuff. Got a fridge, got a little mattress over there, all my essentials. Got Wi-Fi, plug, got a bathroom. It's not the best, but what can I say? I mean, life feels like GTA 3, GTA 4 with Nico. You arrive on an island in New York from the ship. You got nothing. And then you meet your cousin. You drive to your cousin. He pays you $100. You go live in a shoebox. And then the next day you go do some more driving and more people. You get $100 here, $100 there. Next thing you know, you're living in a bigger house, like a penthouse, and you level up. It's just like, this is the classic immigration story. And I mean, there's just so much stuff going on here. I feel so happy. that I'm getting to experience this stuff. Because, like, I mean, when else do you don't get to see this? I don't know. I'm just hyped up with all the dynamism and how much awesome things are happening at the same time. It's not just hardship. There's a lot of like real solid wins going on here. I'm in the U.S. I don't know many people here. I managed to get connections through the help of some nice people who knows I'm out here, a friend of a friend, a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. And now I'm here, and I'm thankful I got a roof over my head. Just so thankful. Like, I'm looking at this room. It's like so, like, shitty, but I'm just happy. It's weird. I'm just content, and I'm happy that I can be content, and I'm happy that I'm happy that I can internalize these kind of things like this. I hope this mentality survives. But I'm ready to check it in for the night. To archive this. You'll never get to see this stuff again if I ever do become a billionaire, or if I don't. Let's just say I go to a place that's just so out of my reality that I used to live like this. And what a successful journalist archive for my children. I love you. And yes, I am living in the back of a store.
A week later, I head to San Francisco to attend Owen's free event. It was massive. This was my first time seeing Owen live. Energy was electric, his voice was booming, it woke up some primal shit in me. I got to meet him and told him my story and how his work had inspired a lot of my journey. He was blown away, and in turn had also inspired hundreds of others. I did something for myself, and it gave energy back somehow. Now everything had gone full circle. I had to sign up for his original workshop, which would be in LA in 4 months. After all, I was finally here. How could I not? I also stuck to my plan of attending all events and met people all around the country who helped me during my time here while I wait for my asylum. Still my favorite speech of all time. By the time I saw the Golden Gate Bridge for the first time, I actually broke down in tears. It took the sheer magnitude of the bridge to let it land that I actually made it. Also, that same day, CDC had brought back requirement for proof of vaccination for non-US residents in order to enter the border. So had I been a day or two late, I would have never been allowed into the country. It was divine timing in all ways.
It's 9 a.m. It's 9 degrees Celsius, and trying to hike up to the hall right here. That's where we're trying to go. It's freezing, but I can't wait to get up there. So I actually came up here today because it's taken me 18 months to make this a possibility. Mostly it was the Owens boot camp, okay? It took me 18 months since I decided to go for it to actually show up, and it's happening today. And he lives in the Hollywood Hills. And I just wanted to climb up here before it starts in a few hours, just to like solidify to myself that it's already happened, that it took 18 months to reach this point. You know, shouldn't take you that long, but I had a lot of logistical nightmares that prevented me from coming, and the journey that I had to take to actually make it here today, to this where I'm standing here right now, is so incredible that I never would have thought. Just like, hey, I'm just gonna go for a boot camp, right? I'm just gonna sign up for this program. But just the amount of obstacles that came in the way of me getting had changed me so much as a person to overcome those obstacles, because it just didn't make sense for me to come in terms of logistics, finances, geolocation, everything, life situation. And I just went against all those odds just to attend this program, just because I wanted to. I thought it was going to be really fun. It's not even like a life-pressing issue, but it became a life-pressing issue because I was like, if I can't even come to this program, how can I do anything else? I can't even attend the program that I want to. And just in that mere intention and pushing through it, I transformed my life in so many ways that the journey here was literally the real reward. The journey, had this been an easy decision, I would not have learned all the lessons that I did. Okay, had I just like booked the flight and arrived, I would have missed out on so many valuable lessons that literally the journey here was better than the actual destination. I mean, don't get me wrong, this feels amazing that I'm here, but had I just shown up here without those, the obstacles that I went through, this experience right here wouldn't have mattered, wouldn't have weighed as much as it weighs right now. So the weight of the story is what makes the climax incredible. And just like this Hollywood sign, look at, I can't even see the Hollywood sign. It was the way up here that was the real journey. So keep that in mind for a future Goober. You know, You got this. You got this. You got this.
It is now February 2024. It's been almost 1 year since Goober applied for asylum and he's still waiting for his interview. This is most probably due to the backlog caused by a surge of illegals at the border. He has been road tripping around the US and building online businesses while he waits. He has now won the challenge of entering the US. However, he is now realizing that an even equal challenge is learning how to thrive in the US. Stay tuned for part 2 of the nomadic refugee odyssey.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.